Hello and welcome to the often imitated but never quite duplicated Matchmaker's take for Cage Warriors 72. Brad Wharton here with Cage Warriors Matchmaker Ian Dean at Cage Warriors HQ in London, breaking down the fights that are coming your way this Saturday night. Ian, we've got a lot to get through. Two big world title fights happening this Saturday. First of all though, we're supposed to start this off talking about Tim Newman versus Tim Wilde. Unfortunately, Tim Wilde picked up an injury. Best wishes to Tim. Hopefully we'll see him back in the Cage Warriors cage soon. But replacing him is, you might say, an equally dynamic young man from Poland, Mateusz Gamera. What do we know about this young man, and what does he bring to the cage?
Brad, he's a red-hot prospect, 6-0. He's looked great in his last 3 appearances in KSW. We saw him defeat Justin George and Andre Winner there. Really dynamic wrestling. In fact, dynamic all round. If you look at his highlight reel, you're going to see him, dominate his opponents. He's looking for submissions. He's looking ways to hurt you on the floor. That being said, only one of his wins have actually come inside a distance via a submission or TKO. The other two, one was a doctor stoppage, one was a corner stoppage. And only a pro 2.5 years, still quite young, early 20s. So we obviously haven't seen the most of him, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does inside a cage as well. Obviously, with most of Polish MMA in a ring, different dynamics again. But I'm really excited to see him and fighting a vet like Newman. It's going to be a really interesting fight.
Well, this is it. He's perhaps not got the finishes yet, but he's fought a consistently high level of opposition, and that doesn't change with Tim Newman. Tim's undefeated on Cage Warriors, and also has a bit of a history with late replacements from Poland as well.
Yeah, of course. 3 years ago in Ireland. He had a 10-second KO win out there against the late replacement in Grzegorz Tradowski, and it was a stunning overhand left. Possible KO of the year, one of the best KOs we've had on Cage Warriors in recent years. But what I like about Newman is that he's paid his dues. He's solid amateur career. I think a 7-year pro now, and started his career 6-0. You could argue he's had some trouble when he stepped it up. Losses to Cage Warriors title challenger Kurt Warburton, and but then he's also been able to pick up his game. You could argue a controversial win against Greg Loughran last time out. He submitted Loughran in a guillotine. Loughran said he didn't tap, but that being said, a solid all-rounder, underrated striking, but a really good ground game as well. And he's going to be quite a test.
And not to forget as well, fighting in his own backyard in front of a packed house. And
exactly.
that's definitely going to weigh into in some respect. Moving on then, we have the fight which is being dubbed by Cage Warriors fans as the people's main event. You've got Che Mills from Trojan Free Fighters just down the road in England. He's going to be bringing a lot of support with him, facing the local hero Jack Marshman, who obviously is going to go down very well in Wales. Two guys here in a bit of a similar situation in that they both had a bit of a rough couple of years, few results that didn't go their way, but both managed to turn around in their last appearances here on Cage Warriors. It's a huge fight with an open division at 185. What does this fight mean for both these guys?
It's a huge fight in the career of both guys. We've got Jack Harmison as champion. You could argue there's not many challenges for him right now. A win here is going to send, both guys, could arguably be a contender for the title if they win. So, it's a huge fight as well. And neither guy is going to want another loss on their record. I mean, as silly as it sounds, they've had, like you said, you could argue a tough couple of years. I mean, wasn't too long ago, Marshman was 10-0, in the domestic ranks, and being built as really the next big thing. Whereas Che Mills had a fantastic couple of years. When he fought in Cage Warriors 38 4 years ago, he looked phenomenal when he beat Jake Heck. Had a couple of more wins after that, and then he went through a bit of a downturn. But make no mistake, both guys are very, very dangerous. Great finishing records, entertaining, exciting. It's all the ingredients for a great fight.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, Che's got that big game experience. Jack Marshman started off as a boxer, constantly showing evolution. We saw that last time when he came out with a great submission. So all the ingredients there, as you say, for a fantastic, fantastic people's main event at Cage Warriors 72. Okay, next up, it's time for the first of our 2 world title fight main events, 2 massive headliners on this card. in Wales. And the first of them is going to crown the bantamweight champion in Cage Warriors. That title vacant at the moment, so everything to play for between Corey Tate and Tony Taru. Tony, we saw make his Cage Warriors debut earlier this year. Obviously a very strong grappler. What else do we know about Tony, and what kind of problems is he going to pose for Corey Tate?
He potentially could pose a lot of problems for Corey Tate. You know, a classically trained Scandinavian grappler. You know, fantastic record. You know, he'll seek out, you know, people's weaknesses. He's not afraid to mix it up. And, you know, he's a great finisher as well. When you're in trouble on the mat, you know, and he sees an opportunity, he will finish you, you know. And he's not afraid to pull out, you know, some excellent submissions. You know, he's got a go-go platter on his record against former TUF vet Emil Hartzner. Last time out, you know, he was, you know, masterful on the mat against Martin Akhtar in Denmark at Cage Warriors. So, you know, this is a guy that over 5 rounds, I think he's always going to be a threat. And, you know, if you watch his videos, he's not afraid to, you know, take a few hits as well. You know, he'll come out with some, you know, grappler striking. You know, he'll go and swing, and, you know, he's not afraid to rough it up, with it being the clinch or on the fence. And yeah, I mean, over in those championship rounds, I think he's always going to be a danger.
Well, and you've done it for both these guys, having to go the 5 rounds for the first time. You talk about Corey Tate, and you've really got to talk about a guy who's seized an opportunity. You know, he was matched up sort of in the middle of the main card on a Cage Warriors card earlier this year. That bout fell through due to injury. He then finds himself in the main event against a heavily favoured James Pennington, and he pulls off an absolute blinder. I mean, how good did Corey look last time, and, you know, how big of an opportunity is this for the 26-year-old to win a world title? Yeah,
it's a huge opportunity. Tate again is another example of a much hyped UK fighter who done really well on the domestic circuit. You know, got a big fan base, a lot of support. But this is the toughest fight I think that he's had in his career today. You know, he hasn't fought anybody quite like Taru. Someone who's gonna, you know, once he gets him on the mat, is gonna be a danger. That being said, he's got to get it to the mat. And when you fight someone like Corey Tate, you don't know what's going to happen. Within the first 15 seconds of his fight against Pennington, he already went for a push kick, a spinning heel kick. And when he did get taken down, you know, he was fighting all the time to get up. You know, he was sprawling out of takedowns, and it was one of Pennington's mistakes. You know, a stop takedown, which he then, you know, went straight for a submission, cranked the guillotine, and got the win. You know, so we're going to see just how evolved as a fighter Corey Tate really is. And again, 5 rounds. Yeah, I don't want to make too much of it, but if you're someone with KO power as well, every time you get stood up again, he's going to have another chance to finish you, and that's what I like about this fight.
Absolutely phenomenal fight in the bantamweight division. We can't wait for that one. Talking about phenomenal fights, we move on to the welterweight division, and what for me is the welterweight fight of the year in terms of European MMA. You've got the newly crowned champion Nicolas Dalby against the former champion Gael Gramont. So much to talk about here. Let's talk about Gael Gramont first. I think it's kind of a rare thing that you see a guy around the mid-30s who's had a good run, lose the belt, and then make a big comeback. But in effect, that's exactly what he did against Bruno Carvalho. You know, Bruno hasn't had the best run of form recently, but you look at his losses, decision losses, and then you see Gramont come out and really manhandle him. I mean, where is Gramont now in terms of his career? And, you know, is this really a last chance for him to get this belt back?
Well, you know, in MMA, you know, never say never, but all signs do point to yes. I mean, this is a massive fight for Gael Gramont. You know, if he wants to go out there and be an international star, you know, this is the kind of dream fight for him. You know, an unbeaten 12-0 fighter with a ridiculous amount of hype. You know, a high-profile win last time out at Cage Warriors when he won the title in spectacular fashion. And, you know, that's going to be motivating Gramont, no doubt about it. And you can never really write him off either. Throughout his career, although he mostly fought, you know, on the European circuit, you know, limited rules, you know, this is a guy with a, you know, very good judo, a dangerous submission game. And he's shown in the last year as well, you know, improving striking in his title fight with Carl Penrod. You know, he was landing strikes against him, was hurting him, pushing him back. And then against Bruno Carvalho, as you said it, I mean, it was just stunning. I mean, was it a 45-second knockout? And, you know, nobody saw that coming. You know, I like Gramont. I do. I've been a fan of his a long time. I wasn't surprised when he beat Jesse Taylor. He's dangerous. And this is easily, again, the toughest test Dalby's going to face. But yeah, this could well be last chance saloon for him if he really wants to catapult himself into international superstardom.
certainly a great all-rounder, and of course that veteran experience, as you say, beat some top names, been in there with some great guys and had some fantastic results. And then we move on to Nicholas Dalby. A lot of hype behind this guy, and in my view, with very good reason. He's clearly not just another European welterweight. He came out and he proved that last time, beat a very tough opponent in spectacular fashion on home soil to win the title. How big of a deal is it now to take what many would argue is another step up against Gramont, and what does he have to lose here?
Yeah, it's a big step, and that's what that's what intrigues me so much about this fight. Elsewhere, he maybe could have picked and chose a fight. He could have, maybe settled for a hometown fight. It's his first fight away from home, and it's against, like, as we said, a really tough, experienced and skillful competitor. Someone who's going to, I believe, have the edge on him in grappling and on the mat. And so I don't think he's going to be too intimidated by by his striking either. But that being said, Dalby's a talent. But yeah, this is a big step up, and it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts. And yeah, if he wins this, I think more and more people are going to get on that bandwagon. They're going to say he's the real deal. But if he loses, is it hype train, derailed? Where does it go from there? I mean, yeah, he has time on his side, but still, I think if you're going to want to go and push yourself and become a bigger star, I think Gramont is the kind of fighter that you're going to want on your record.
Absolutely. We got through so much there. There really is a lot that we could talk about, probably more with this club. We could probably go on forever. Lots of questions. You can get all the answers this Saturday night. In the meantime, follow us on social media at Cage Warriors, and of course check out cagewarriors.com for all the broadcast details. Cage Warriors 72 coming at you this Saturday night from Newport, Wales. We can't wait, and we'll see you there.